Now the machine is sewing perfectly and we can see that it's not skipping any stitches. Well, in this video I'm going to explain how to adjust a sewing machine, specifically the hook timing. If you find that your sewing machine is not performing correctly, or perhaps it is skipping over your stitches, it is a clear indication that the machine has fallen out of its proper timing. This could be due to the needle bar height. Adjusting that needle bar height, which requires specific measurements that I covered in my previous video, or as is the case here, it is the hook adjustment. These are the two essential adjustments you really need to keep in mind whenever your sewing machine stops stitching properly or is just skipping stitches entirely. In this video, I'm going to explain step by step exactly how to adjust the hook, what we need to do to avoid those annoying skip stitches, or what to check if the machine isn't sewing at all, so you can get back to work. Well, before we start with all this, let's put some material in and see exactly what this machine is doing. We'll take off the presser foot and put the material in. Let's raise the needle up and then take the material out. Go ahead and cut it, and we can clearly see that the machine simply isn't sewing at all. Or if you look closely here, you can see it made a few stitches, but one is quite short and the other is long. At this moment, the machine is currently out of adjustment because of the hook timing, given that the needle bar height has already been completely adjusted, and I will be sure to leave that video for you right here at the conclusion of this one. Once the needle bar timing has been perfectly synchronized, all that remains for us to do is to adjust the hook. For the sake of convenience and to ensure we can clearly see all of these adjustments, we are going to go ahead and take everything out. We're going to unthread the needle, take out the presser foot. That would be the feed dog plate, or it could be the throat plate. We are going to go ahead and move the bobbin case holder now. The bobbin case together with its bobbin. We're going to take off the slide plate. Remember, this one slides out towards the front, not the back. And we're also going to lower the feed dogs using these two screws, and we'll take off this plate that helps hold and stabilize the bobbin case. We take it out with these two screws and the feed dogs too. After taking all these parts out, we're going to flip our machine over to look at the bottom. Now on the bottom, we're going to remove this cover and this cover. This cover comes off here, and this one has several screws. Regardless of your machine, you're always going to remove the covers from the bottom, no matter the model. This specific model is applicable to all of these Singer models, as well as every single one of the Singer Facilita machines. Because all of these models operate using a drive belt in the hook area, this is exactly how our machine will appear when viewed from underneath. Please keep in mind that this specific adjustment procedure applies to all of these belt-driven machines. Now, with our machine positioned this way, we are going to set the stitch to its maximum possible zigzag width, because we need to perform this adjustment while the needle is falling to the left, as that represents the absolute furthest point of clearance between the hook tip and the needle. Go ahead and shift the needle so it falls all the way to the left, and then we can take a closer look to see exactly how it is out of proper adjustment. You must remember that the hook tip should pass at least 0.5 millimeters above the needle eye, with the needle at its maximum leftward drop. Right here, we can clearly see how the hook tip is actually passing just a little bit too far below the eye of the needle, which is a problem. As you can clearly see right there, it is passing much lower than it really should be. This clearly indicates that the hook is currently poorly adjusted, so we definitely need to address that issue right away. To resolve this, we need to advance the hook position slightly, and we will accomplish that from the bottom side. Now let's examine this specific component where the vertical shaft meets the horizontal one at the top, and we are going to loosen these two screws here. On various other machines and different models, you will find that the screws are located on this side. However, the process remains exactly the same. So we are going to go ahead and loosen these two screws. We do not need to loosen them very much, just a little bit, so that the hook is free for us to adjust it. By loosening this screw, we can clearly observe how we are able to freely adjust the shaft that holds the hook. This means the needle will remain stationary while we are able to manipulate the hook to either advance or retard its timing. In this particular situation, what we need to do is to advance it. Doing so will cause it to shift over toward the right side. Let us take a closer look at this from the top view. Alright, and there we have it set up correctly now. What should we do in this situation? We are going to turn it to the right and see how we can advance the tip just a little bit further if we move the hand wheel in the direction of rotation. As you can clearly see, we are able to move it down and up, and the hook itself will remain perfectly still. Now at this point, once we have it positioned, we are going to carefully place the tip just a little bit above the eye, exactly as you can see right there. We can simply go ahead and place it right there. Now, once we have reached that specific stage, we need to return our attention to the bottom section and proceed to tighten those 2 screws once more. Now, after you have tightened the screws securely, please keep in mind that we must avoid applying an excessive amount of force, as we certainly do not want the mechanism to spin around on us. Once they are firmly in place, we are going to carefully flip the entire machine over and then rotate the hand wheel. We are going to turn the hand wheel and then we will see how the adjustment has turned out. And right there, we can clearly observe how the hook tip passes just a little bit above the needle eye. If we look at it from the right side, we can see that it also passes safely above the eye. Now let's go ahead and set the machine to a straight stitch. And then, as we observe, the tip of the hook also passes just slightly above the eye of the needle. This critical alignment ensures that the machine will not skip any stitches or suddenly stop sewing. We must also keep in mind that if the hook is positioned too far forward, it will pass too high above the eye. That will inevitably result in skipped stitches as well. With this precise adjustment, the machine should be able to sew perfectly. Now we are going to reassemble all of the internal parts, replace the bottom cover, and then run a test with some fabric to see how the stitching actually turned out. Alright, let me walk you through exactly how these specific components are supposed to look when assembled. This particular piece needs to be positioned right over the bobbin case, leaving exactly a 1mm gap. If you look closely, you can see that gap right here, which is the precise area where the thread needs to pass through. And this component, which we call the bobbin case retainer, must always be oriented in this specific direction. Alright, now let's go ahead and put the needle plate back on, thread the machine up, and then test it out on the fabric. We'll set it to a straight stitch, test that out first, lower the needle down, and then hit the foot pedal to start. And now you can see how, compared to before, it shows a perfectly straight, consistent stitch. Next, we need to put the zigzag stitch to the test. We raise the needle up and set the machine to the widest, largest zigzag setting. Then, we lower the needle and press down on the foot pedal. Now, if we carefully flip the fabric over, we can see that the sewing machine is finally stitching everything together perfectly. You can observe the entire zigzag pattern, and you will notice that there are absolutely no skipped stitches to be found anywhere. At the very bottom, these little dots are just the thread colors and the tension settings that still need adjusting, but we are almost there now. The most important thing is that it doesn't skip any stitches at all and sews perfectly in both the straight and the zigzag patterns. And we can clearly see that the adjustment is perfect compared to the previous measurements, just exactly like I showed you earlier. That's all for now, friends. Remember, give us a like. It's really important to us and doesn't cost you anything. And subscribe to the channel because we'll be uploading a lot more content. So see you in the next video.